Is he absent or excused?
Be absent unless John's heard from him.
I heard from him. I talked to him last week. I texted him each day of the last, and he texted me yesterday and reminded me that he thought he would be here. So I would just call him excused if he doesn't get on in a few minutes.
Okay,
I would call him because he said he was going to be here.
okay.
And then Tracy Dupre, I have you marked as present.
I am.
Liz Gundan, and Leah Dumoshe, and then John Myers. Anyone else?
Maureen Tobin.
Yeah,
Marine, yeah.
Maureen Tobin. Okay, you're right. I think that's it.
Okay. We have the approval of the previous minutes. They're in our packet. Everybody have a chance to read them?
I did.
I never got a packet.
It was last month's packet, except for the
Agenda.
recommendation for the sidewalk issue.
Okay.
And it was an email with a PDF.
Mhm.
I read them. They were wonderful. I think they should be submitted just as they are.
I had to have my son poke me to wake me up, but that's just me.
Okay, they were a little boring, but
They're minutes.
who's making a motion to approve them?
I'll
Approved.
make an motion.
A motion.
Okay. I'll
Okay,
second the
who
motion.
moved
Tracy.
Tracy did.
and supported was Chuck?
Chuck. Yep.
I support.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. They're approved. We have the approval
Approved as
of the
recorded.
we have the approval of the agenda as written.
I'll move.
Okay. Anybody gonna support?
I'll second.
Okay, we have
Sorry.
Tracy moved and Chuck seconded. There's no discussion. All those in favor of the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. They passed. We'll go on to old business, which is the 2020 Planning Commission Annual Report. Leah or Liz gonna give it?
I am. Are you all seeing my screen? Okay.
Yep.
Yes,
Mhm.
ma'am.
So we brought this to you, I think, in December, but since then have added a few things. So we thought we we will bring it back to you before taking it to council next month. So a few of the items changed were at the time that we wrote this report, some of the site plan review and special land uses hadn't actually been approved yet, but those happened in December, so we confirmed those. It was the plumbing contractor and Taco Bell. And then the final thing is we added zoning board of appeals actions. This section wasn't in there before. So basically there's this, what the request was, the address, the rule that it was being deviated from, the number of standards that were met, and then what the outcome was. So there were 3 dimensional variance requests and 3 use variances requests. So those are the updates, and would be happy to take any comments or questions.
Anybody got any questions? Go ahead.
There was something on there. The plumbing, this is just curiosity because I don't remember. What did we approve something for them, Fort Street Plumbing?
We did. It was both a special land use and a site plan review. So they had come in November for the conceptual review for the special land use, and then in December, you reviewed and approved their site plan and special land use.
Okay. thank you.
Any other questions? I'll take a motion that we forward this on to city council.
So moved.
We have a mover, and Tracy, is that you?
Yes.
I need a support.
I'll support.
And once again, Chuck supports. Any other questions? Any discussion? Call the roll. Mike,
Palmer. Joe Palmer,
I'm muted.
Not anymore.
Kissel,
Can you
yes,
hear me?
yes.
yep,
Yes, I say yes.
I say yes. Persinger,
Yes.
Loduca is not here, and Dupre.
Yes.
Oh, Loduca's not here, right?
right,
Briones and
Okay.
Grays aren't here, but we do have 5, Palmer, Kessel,
Right.
Horvath, Persinger, and Dupre. Okay.
correct, we have 5. Next is new business. First item on the agenda is the election of officers.
Okay, so this happens every year, and your planning commission bylaws state that you have, your officers are a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. And the only rule is that an ex officio member cannot be one of these officers.
So
tonight
Tracy
we-
cannot run for office.
Correct. So
Aw. Sorry.
I guess 4 of you.
Missing
can-
out, Trace.
I think she'd make a great secretary.
Uh-oh,
I'm
no.
just-
I do too. I really do.
I'm
too.
considering running for city council, so I don't have to be a chairman anymore.
Oh,
I second
yeah,
that.
okay, let's switch. No.
Okay, we open the chair for chairman,
Nominations?
nominations for chairman.
I nominate Kevin Kissel as chairman.
I second that.
And I open up the nomination for chairman. Anybody else can be nominated for chairman? Anybody else can be nominated for chairman? Hearing none, nominations are closed. Nominations for vice chairman.
Who is our current vice chairman?
Joe Palmer.
Gee,
Joe Palmer. I nominate Joe Palmer as
I
vice
like Joe
chairman.
Palmer for that position.
Okay, we have Joe Palmer's nominated for that position. Any other nominations for vice chairman? Any other nominations for vice chairman? One more time, any other nominations for vice chairman? Hearing none, we'll move on to secretary treasurer.
I
Currently,
nominate
it's Mike.
Maureen Tobin.
She
Maureen
can't.
is not a member of
Yeah, yeah.
the commission.
She's not a
Oh,
commissioner.
what about Tracy?
No,
Tracy
I'm not
cannot be-
counting.
Okay,
She can't.
well, then I nominate Michael.
I'll second
Go
the
down the list.
nomination.
I was trying
for
to bail
Michael.
you out, brother.
Any other nominations for secretary treasurer?
I'm gonna nominate Persinger.
I denounce it.
I
Can
second
John
it.
Meyer be the secretary?
No.
No, he can't.
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
Mike is.
Any other nominations? We'll close the nominations for secretary treasurer. Okay, on the chairman, I was nominated. I'll accept. When do you guys watch closer this year? Because I might not accept in the future.
Okay.
Okay, Kevin.
Joe, Joe, do you accept?
What?
Do you accept?
I accept.
Mike, do you accept?
I guess.
You're doing a great job, buddy.
You are.
Just
Yeah,
because
keep
it was
him
down,
going.
I'll ask him anyway. Chuck, do you accept?
Your minutes are incredible.
No, I do not.
Okay. Nominations are closed. And then, we have all unopposed offices. I'm the chairman, Joe's the vice chairman, and Mike's the secretary, treasurer.
Hip, hip, hooray.
Woo!
Yeah. Okay, now that we got
Going.
that settled, let's move.
Okay. Now we'll move on to zoning, text amendment. Flat work replacement criteria.
Okay, so I'll start this off, but then I'll let John add to it. The proposal is to have standards for flat work replacement, so sidewalk repair. And John has proposed these standards in your packet to go as a proposed zoning text amendment to chapter 1294 to all districts. So this would be repair for public sidewalks, service walks, driveway approaches, driveways, garage slabs, steps, porch caps, and patios. John, do you have additional things you want to add?
I do want to add that I'm on the phone with Ross Leduco.
Oh.
All right, Ross.
He was wondering why you guys stood him up at the city hall,
Oh, no.
but he's here on the phone. And Ross, can you hear me? Hold on a second.
Inside your room too, the cleaning man, they took him over there, nobody was there.
Well, that was nice that the cleaning man let you in without knowing who you were. So, Ross, we're talking about the flat work process.
Yeah.
We put 9 categories on it. All of these planning commission members, all of these are in line with the state regulatory guidelines for sidewalk and concrete elevation problems. In fact, the difference in this one is only that we've requested no surface patching work to be permitted. You see that in number 9. And our concern is that people would rather not correct their driveways or sidewalk issues, and then try to put a patch that would only last through a winter summer split season, not even a full year, because the elevation of the ground would move, it would crack the patchwork, and it would be of no value again. So we've added that to this category. This also runs exactly in line with the document that is in the DPS standards for the public service 10% sidewalk program that the city has been running for numerous years. The reason we're trying to put this and recommending to put this into the ordinance for a city ordinance is when we go to court, because it's not in an ordinance as one, when we have to take someone who refuses to do their sidewalk properly or their driveway properly, we lose the case because we have no law in our ordinance that would have jurisdiction at the 25th District Court to enforce it. So once we're not amending this, we're adding this as an agenda, as a item in our ordinance for the first time. So we could use the state standards as a guideline, but since it wasn't written into a law, when we went to court, we would lose every one of those cases. Frankly, I'm tired of losing those cases, and I'm asking for consideration that we put it in as a law so that we can upgrade the quality of our sidewalks, service walks, and driveways and patios in the city of Lincoln Park as we move forward.
Can I ask a question?
I have a question.
Tracy first.
Okay.
Or
I'm
is it
sorry?
Maureen?
It's
sorry.
Maureen.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Maureen.
So right now, there is no ordinance in place for residential sidewalks.
There's no ordinance in place for any flat work that has been damaged or is unsafe or regulated by these standards. The only standards that we have that are not written as an ordinance are the guidelines that the DPS would use when they're using or providing a public service walk guideline for service walk repairs. So as you know, as a council, every year for the last several years, the state allows or permits so much of our road money, grant money that comes from the state to be used for non-drivable surfaces. Those are public sidewalks. So in that process, they've been able to modify some of the crosswalks and put them into handicap areas. And also every year they go through certain sections of the city at a time, and they highlight sidewalks that are of trip hazard, these standards, and they repair them at the cost of a cheaper price for an individual to do them or the city to do them. And so when we go in as the building department on a rental property or a business property or a residential reinspection, our flat work expands beyond the public sidewalk to what is called the service walk, which is the walkway from the public walkway to the front porch and the driveways that are by standard required to be hard surfaces. They either have to be blacktopped or they have to be concreted in our city. So we had no guidelines at all for those other flat work surfaces to be required by law to be replaced or repaired.
So when you do an inspection, you are unable to enforce someone repairing their sidewalk or their approach to the house
Or driveway.
or driveway.
That is
Okay.
correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Mike, did you have a question?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Joe.
John, on that note with what we're talking about, does the homeowner, if they're going to repair that flag or that sidewalk or that section, do they have to pull a permit for that?
They do, whether it's driveway, service walk, or public sidewalk, they are required to pull a permit due to the fact that it is a structural safety regulation.
Okay, I know in the past, on that note, we've had companies come in and XYZ or whatever, just not to name a name, that have gone around the city and replaced flags for the public. Is there a way that we could post that on, the city website or what, so that homeowner that cannot repair or replace that, if it's only one or two flags, have that company come in, because they'll give them a better deal than it would cost some other company come in and just replace it. The way we can say something, or against bylaws.
That works already in the spring, and that's governed not by our department, but it's governed by the DPS and the director, John Kazoo. And it's only for the region of which the city is governing to repair sidewalks for that season. So let's just suggest it is in the northeast corner of the city. So where it would be, let's just say from Fort Street East and from Southfield North, maybe this summer, all the sidewalks that are in violation in that district would be reviewed by this program and that contractor, and he would come in and pick that. And that's why the price is reduced, because the city council has the right annually to have a different RFP on a different company or rehire the same company, which has happened for the last 2 years, because that contract, that cement company has agreed not to change its prices over the last 3 years. So the council has kept that price, but that's only good for the city area of which the city is reviewing public service sidewalks under the road work construction fee schedule.
Okay, so it is available to the public. I've been asked that question a couple of times. On that note, how are we going forward with the city to determine who and how and where that these repairs need to be made? Is it by just a complaint by somebody walking their dog or walking? Is it the commission going through there?
No, yeah, the DPS has mapped out a section of the city annually. And at one point, I don't remember if it's accurate now or not, but they started working from the direction of every public elementary and middle school for walking to school areas. And that's where they worked from, but I don't know how they're mapping out the city to cover the whole city in a cycle of 5 years or 6 years, because they can
Right,
only afford mathematically to do a percentage under the road work construction budget each year, and of concrete surfaces that are not drivable. So I don't know where their markers are, but I do know if we're inside of that marker and they're working in that neighborhood, they do have the right to ask for public sidewalks, not approaches, not service walks, and not driveways. That company goes ahead and does the work for them at a lower cost.
Well, thank you, John Myers. I appreciate that, sir. No further questions?
Any other questions?
If I can confirm, please.
Go
I've been
Go ahead.
told that the citizens pay $98 per square towards this repair. Is that accurate?
If it's
No.
done through the city program, and I actually think 98 is this cycle of year is low. I think it's closer to $167. If I could look it up and confirm that with you, but if they're going through the program and they use it, they can have that company do it cheaper, but I don't think $97 or $98 is the right number. I think it's over 100. But nevertheless, it would be more significant if you had to contract your own contracting company to take out the sidewalk, frame it, and then form it, and then put it back in.
I agree, because I had to do that when I moved in here. I had to do 6 of them, and 3 of those are popping up from the city tree. So we're gonna get pushback from that. I know as a citizen, I would push back on it.
Yes.
And at $165 and the tree's doing it, what do we say then?
That is the city's going to apologize and decide if they can help fix the tree, and say, as long as you don't resell your house or rent it out, we will probably never touch it as a building department. We will look the other way and cough. And so that is how that would work. So, but when the house does resell, it would had to be addressed. And oftentimes what we're seeing now is they have an affidavit as is, and they give the responsibility to the next owner.
That's what happened to me, yeah.
The trees were designed, they were not correct. The trees that were put in were not really designed to be within public service. They just grow too big, the rooting is too large. But again, they're probably also 50 to 70 years old.
Yeah.
And therefore they have overgrown their usefulness to sidewalk.
Yeah, and there are different gaps between the sidewalks and the road. Some like mine are 2 feet and some are 6, 8, 10 feet, and those fit a tree a lot better.
Yeah. Okay.
Are there any other questions?
Running out of space to write these questions.
Get another piece of paper.
It looks like you got a printer there, Mike.
Any other questions?
No.
If not, then we will consider a motion to accept the,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I just want to make sure that everybody read through this request, because there's some unique things that people do not like to do. We do not want patchwork, and we do not want people to grind in our list. And some cities and some people would rather say, instead of replacing it, can I just grind off that 3/4 and make it somewhat more flat? And I want to look and make sure that we've written it in that fashion, and that everybody understands that's really the distinguishing pieces of how we want repairs to be done for long-term
Hey,
instead of
John,
short-term. Yes.
I had seen one where there was the tree had come up on it and the slab was good on the square. And the contractor had lifted it up, cut out the tree under it and laid it down where it was flat and everything was smooth and it didn't break. Is that acceptable?
It would be. I would really not advise it because the problem with lifting it up and trying to put it back down and
Who's
getting
this boy?
the 3,000 pounds per pressure of A22 gravel compact and settling it is pretty difficult because
Get moisture
concrete
underneath.
originally is poured at the at the texture of what the ground was when they poured it. So there's a lot more air pockets under there once you reset that slab. But you can
Okay,
see
yeah.
number 8 says we're not wanting milling. And you can see that
Yeah.
that it gets, once it's over 3/4 inch, if it's a 1/2 inch, it's a 1/4 inch, we have no problem that milling. But once it gets bigger than that, we find that we are limiting the strength of the sidewalk. It's only 3.5 inches at the best anyhow, and it does become a problem in the future. So I just want to make sure as you think through it, you're seeing those last two references as you approve or deny it, we going forward into the council for their approval. But those are the two juggernauts. Everything else is pretty standard to the state. And those last two are a little bit more concerning to the conditions of our own elderly seasoned sidewalks and driveways.
Mr. Myers, can we
Yeah.
add that provision that Mike just brought up about removing and resetting that slab? I think we should add that to it just in case, because that homeowner, somebody may come through and say, hey, we can do this for $50. And then 2 years later, it settles and moves, and then they got to replace it.
You have the right to do that, but you do understand as a general contractor yourself to lift a tire slab off the ground, cut out the roots, and then reset that slab solid is not an easy or a sure guaranteed long-term fix.
That's correct.
But we do grant them to mud jacking it. Let's say your sidewalk or your driveway has sunken into an area and it looks like you have a 3 inch or an inch rise on a step. If the reason you have a rise is not because the flag raised, but the flag beside it sunken, you are qualified without a permit to get a company to mud jack it and raise the sunken sidewalk to the right elevation so that you don't have to replace anything. And
Gotcha.
that's not here because we don't need to put a permit on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, John, are we approving this for referring it to the council for their, to accept it? And-
That is
or-
correct. It'll go
Okay.
to them as a resolution. If you, whatever you recommend, they'll go to the city council as a resolution for approval.
Okay,
I make a motion.
Actually, just sorry to interrupt, but because this is a zoning amendment, it will have to have a public hearing first before we send it to
oh,
council.
okay,
So it'll have the public hearing probably next month.
okay. So,
I make a
For
motion
next
to
month.
accept it.
Okay, that's Palmer move to accept.
we have to have a public hearing,
Correct.
Mike.
Okay,
So it doesn't matter what, it's gotta wait till next month.
Correct.
fine.
This was just discussion.
Okay,
Oh,
so there's
okay.
no movement involved with this. All right, good. All right.
We thought we had to accept it.
All right, so we'll move on to,
We don't have to accept
Well-
it for it to require a public hearing? I'll shut up.
no, we don't have to, we were just discussing it. We'll have that public
Okay.
hearing next month. And following the public hearing, we'll have the motion and the support. and the vote.
Okay,
So we'll move on to policy review and discussion. Anybody got anything? And we'll go on to education and training. Liz or Leah, which one is gonna?
There are a number of Michigan Association of Planning workshops coming up. They're all listed here, but there's planning and zoning essentials, those dates, managing risk, and site plan review. So the
Oh, you
cost
guys have
equity-
had, Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to mention that you guys have had 2 of these already. We went through the planning and zoning essentials in the site, but that was a couple of years ago now. And I think we, if we wanted to have a refresher, we could. And I only butt in because it's coming up in April and we usually do our training, whatever training we're going to do is usually scheduled sometime around April. So there is the managing risk workshop that's here, although that might be more geared toward elected officials than planning commission specifically. Liz, is that your impression?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I do think that we should put on the agenda on March, for March, whatever training that we would like to have. And we should at least put a date on the calendar. And if there's anything that anybody on this board feels like, I wish I knew more about that, I would love for you to let me know and I can investigate that.
Okay. Anybody got any ideas for Leah?
I just saw a mouse in my garage.
Not a rat.
No,
Sorry.
mouse. He's a
Oh, the
little
rat's
bitty
sitting there
guy.
on the Zoom call.
Yeah. He's an itty bitty guy. He looked up, saw me, and took off like a bat.
Oh, he's smart
So-
anyway.
Yeah.
So these are trainings that are offered through the Michigan Associated, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So when they say for officials, you said that these are more for who?
In general, so this is the Michigan Association of Planning, and in general, they're planning topics, but I think the managing risk one in particular, there are some elements, so there's portions of that in other workshops. I teach a lot of these. And so while some of it is certainly appropriate to planning commissions, I think that, we get this once a year opportunity to do training, and there might be something that's a better fit than that one, is all I was getting at there.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, for anything, just for myself, anything that offers a more in-depth understanding of what a planning commission does. That would
Well-
be very helpful to me. I don't know what's out there, but other than that, I'm not sure what training is needed. So that's just my 2 cents.
Sure. Well, I mean, in your case in particular, Tracy, because you are new to the planning commission and you haven't sat through, like we just, the rest of these guys just had to sit through site plan review with me last year. So I'm sure they're not ready for it again yet. But I mean, just for the, the cost of $75, you could sign up for one of these. They're virtual. I mean, I think MAP does a really good job. And so, for example, if you signed up for the planning and zoning essentials, either March 3rd and 4th or the 23rd and 24th, I think that would be really worthwhile for you.
Okay. All right.
I'm in too.
Awesome.
Whatever you offer, I'll take it.
I ain't spending $75.
Well, I mean, so I would inquire, and particularly for the folks that, need to be oriented and they're brand new to the board, Tracy, I would certainly ask James about it and see, because there is my understanding is that there is a training budget, and it may not be that we use every single drop of it for the April training. So I would inquire.
There you go.
Okay. I think that would be particularly good for Maureen and I. So we can
Right.
put something together, Maureen, and we can send it to James and ask him.
Yeah.
If you want, if
Yep,
you want as
absolutely.
a staff, I'd be willing to submit that request to the city manager.
Okay. Very good.
I would
Thanks.
be
Okay.
interested also, Mr. Myers.
okay. Leah, do you have anything that you recommend?
Well, again, for the newbies, I think this is a good one. And so for the rest of us, we might be most of the way through the MAP trainings. And so maybe I'm going to take another look around and inquire with them and see if I have, something different to offer you, which I guess is why it would be helpful if I knew that there were certain things that we wanted to learn more about. Because at this point, we've seen the basics a couple of times. And while it's worth review, that
Well-
kind of gives us an opportunity to dive deeper if we want to. But I'll look around. I'll have some offerings next month.
Okay.
Leah, have we already done, I believe we have, I'm just clarifying, have we done the site plan review map drawings?
I'm sorry, the site plan review. Oh, you know what? Well, we're still meeting virtually. So no, we never did do those exercises. that's for sure a start.
That would be a place to start, and if we needed to use the building CEUs for planning, that might be available also at a cost that would be maybe reduced. Because I have to continue to train and teach on plan reviewing, so it might not be far off from the site plan, but I think that might help them as they look at these next businesses, and you're looking at, we're looking at 3 or 4 new structures coming that we've
Yeah.
had pre-application meetings, and if they're really understanding what they're looking at for building structure as well as site plan, maybe that might be a valuable tool for them.
Well,
That
unless
sounds
we
good.
hear a better idea next month, let's plan on that.
Okay,
Is that accept with everyone
Sure.
sounds good to me.
at drawings and planning reviews?
Yeah.
Where you at?
Do we have a class available to teach on how to catch small mice?
Yeah. Mute and block video.
Small mice or big rat?
Well, John,
It
I
seems
Well, I
got it.
got some, but it's too big, I think.
John,
it's distracting
I think it's a little bit too big.
John,
Yes,
I got an email the other day teaching me how to read maps backwards. Turns out it was just spam.
our
Okay. All right. Oh, no.
Next.
Oh, geez.
Well, you know, I love my bad puns. That's just how I roll.
Okay, we'll move on then. Reports from departments and other boards and commissions. Anybody got anything?
Nothing from dangerous building at this moment. I
Okay,
did see some progress, Mr. Myers, on Emmons, on that corner house. We're doing some progress there, I saw, and then also the one on Champagne.
What are you doing,
I
little
did.
guy?
yes, Joe, just to give you a heads up.
You
I
got
just
balls.
received,
You too.
2 title
What's
searches.
going on, you?
We will open up dangerous building. To give you information, I have requested this year an excessive amount of about 151,000 from CDBG for demolition this year instead of an average 54. And I've proposed about 138,000 from them to do home renovation, so we don't have to tear everybody down, and renovate and put people back in homes that are not healthy enough to live in at this point. So if that goes through, it should go through the council review and approval for CDBG for just under $280,000 for us in the building department to use in housing, home, and business reconstruction or demolition this year.
Awesome, good job.
Mike, aren't you on zoning board of appeals?
Yep, I'm the planning commission
You get anything?
representative. And yeah, there was just the one meeting that was covered in the information they provided about the one person. The last one we did was the family who wanted to put a slab in, and that
Okay.
they brought up to 40% drainage, and because they're next to the school, we waived it and let them put in their slab that they might build because their parents might have to move in with her.
All right.
The other ones were all listed on there. Other than that, nothing too interesting.
John, is there dangerous meeting this week or dangerous buildings meeting this month?
It will not, but we will hopefully, now that I have the title searches in my office as of this morning, we will try to file for 2 properties in the month of March as a dangerous building meeting.
And zoning commission is on this month?
There is no zoning commission this month at all. There's no cases. So
Okay.
that's been already canceled for no cases to review. I will meet with Leah sometime probably next Tuesday on a development team meeting to make sure that there's no programs like this one we're having for last year's report, plus new officers that we should be putting on just to have the meeting. If we have to do that, then we will have one in March, even though there's not a public hearing in any cases, just so they have a voice and elections taking place for them at the beginning of this fiscal year.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any public comments? Maureen, you're the public tonight, so,
Who, me?
yeah, you're the public tonight.
I have no
Any further
comments. I think you guys do a great job. Oh,
Thank you.
it's a pleasure to sit in on these, and I actually learned quite a bit. So much respect to you all. Thank you.
More than welcome. We're glad you can come every month.
Absolutely.
Comments from the planning commissioners. Everybody got any comments or questions?
I guess I'm asking Maureen, why do you keep coming, or is it because you're doing some other jobs and this helps you to understand them? I'm just curious.
I am the liaison. Well, Tracy is the voting member, and I am the second on council.
Oh,
And
okay.
Part of my
Just wondering.
position. Yeah.
So,
No
so
biggie.
Mike, I've invited her because the building department has 4 commissions. One is the planning commission, 2 is as a staff member, 2 is the ZBA, 3 is the dangerous building, and 4 is the code of appeals. And as the building department's liaison, I've opened the door for her to see every case and every meetings that we're involved in.
Oh, okay.
So we've invited her to the planning as the building department liaison to learn what
Oh,
we
okay.
put up with. I mean,
Excellent.
I just want to understand what's going on. Not a big deal.
that's all right.
And she's more
Welcome
than,
aboard, Maureen.
she's more
Ted
than,
and I spend a lot of time together. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of us. It gets warmer out.
Yes.
any other,
That's
any
it.
other
I'm done.
comments from the planning commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do. I've been wanting to
Go
mention this. I'm not sure if you all know. Park Tire on Fort Street.
Yep.
Yes.
They, I'm good friends. We're not good friends, but good acquaintances with the Stocking family. And I happened to be in there a couple of months ago to get a repair. And I want to give a huge shout out. And as soon as I can get some information with them, they were voted the #1 tire store in the United States. That's
Yeah.
huge. Huge.
Tom
for
Carnes had a
Lincoln.
posting on Facebook on that.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I'm sorry, Jim, he's supposed to get me some magazines with them in it.
Yeah.
But to hear their story, I would really like, I don't know how we can do it, but I'm really proud to see a mom and pop shop like that pull through, and especially there in Lincoln Park.
Yep.
4 generations.
4, yeah.
And to give them some kind of a huge shout out would be phenomenal. I really think if we could do something, I don't know, John, if we can do something with the mayor or what we can do as the council members, but I really want to do something for them to at least say thank you for what they've done all these years and get recognized for it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be great. We did, the mayor did announce it at one of the council meetings, but I think a little bit more it could be done.
Okay,
That-
great.
I've been going there for years, and my parents weren't there, so and they've been around a long time, and they're still going strong in this environment. But everybody needs tires. I mean, so that's
too.
great.
But think about
Yeah.
all the people they competed against. That's what makes
Right.
me
I know.
amazed.
It's just
They
amazing.
got a phone call and said, yeah, you got voted in on the first round. It was like 20 rounds. And I'm only giving additional numbers, but you're 1 in a million. Then next thing you know, they got a phone call and they were like in 200,000. Next thing you know, call. Next thing you know, you're in the top 5. And then they became the #1 in the United States. That's awesome for us in Lincoln Park.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's really cool.
Yeah, they should get some kind of recognition, especially
Agreed.
as long as they've been in the city. Maybe Tom can do a resolution or something to give them recognition at a meeting.
If you guys could do me a favor, because I don't see him as much as you all do,
Mhm.
at least keep me in the loop on everything, and I would like to be part of that with them. Or if I can help out any way, I would love to.
Got it.
Cool. Any other comments? Hearing none. We'll accept the motion for adjournment.
I would like to make one request.
Go ahead, John.
You haven't seen him, you haven't heard him, but I would like to change the position of Mr. Leduco, that he was present He's been on my phone.
Yes, I've been listening.
I don't want him to be considered absent by default because he's been here based on this phone. And
Right.
so-
Hi, Mr. Leduca.
You got that, Mike?
This is my best English lesson.
Mike? You got that?
Yeah, I did it. I just
Okay.
changed it. First I said at City Hall, and then I said, listen through John's phone.
Well, I want to congratulate all of our returning officers.
Really?
And yeah, I did. Yeah, you guys did a great job last year. You'll do another great job this year.
Yes, we
Chuck,
will.
you're just a coward because you wouldn't take a chance at Mike at taking over for Mike. But
Well, am I keeping my job as the groaner?
I think you've
next
earned
month,
that.
Chuck, you're gonna replace Jerry in the Tom and Jerry show. So we're gonna have then you gotta have a
There
cartoon
he
next
goes
month.
again. There he is again. Little
So,
booger, he's got some intestinal fortitude. Comes on out, looks at me, and takes off.
I know there's been a lot of water breaks and stuff, and with this ridiculously extreme cold, I hope things get better soon. That's what I'd like to wish.
and
Come on,
Yeah.
warmth.
Yeah.
thank you all for being here tonight. We'll accept.
So
the
who moved to
motion
adjourn? Who
So
moved?
Support.
Who moved?
I don't know.
I'll move.
Yeah, you
Chuck
moved a
moved.
lot.
Who's in
Chuck
support?
I moved.
Who supported?
I'll support if somebody else moved.
Chuck
Is
moved.
that Tracy
My mouse
supported?
did.
Yes.
All those in
Okay.
favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Hi.
Hi. Good
So
job,
adjourn.
man.
Meeting is adjourned at 7:49 PM.
Have a wonderful night,
All
everyone.
right.
Stay
Bye-bye.
safe, everybody.
Take
Have a-
care. Good.
Have a great
Good to work
uh,
with good people.